Systems in order?
Tony Caravan.
You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, and not what you don't.
But we'll have to remodulate our signal to match the network interlink frequency.
Good morning.
Good morning, folks. It is 5:12 a.m. in the morning in the former United States. I'm situated somewhere along the Appalachian Mountains, mid-Atlantic states in the Ohio Valley. See if you could triangularize. Try saying that when you look like I look. Hey, by the way, let's put it up there. You don't know what you don't know. The most comfortable shirt we make or we sell. We don't make much on these things. Hopefully a commission of some sort. It's kind of bright today. Don't know why. So anyway,
Weekend weather.
Yesterday's show was all about the weather and that absurdity by that governor woof woof and his outright lies. Well, anyway, here's what's happening. The current temperature is 39 degrees. It is May 7th, my friend. This guy thinks that, I get it. I still have it here. Oi. What climate change will do. There were only average of 5 days over 90 from 71 to 2000. I talked to my 80s. Geez, I lost 87-year-old mother. I lost all count of my mind is going. My mind is going. I don't know.
Did you accidentally inject yourself with some kind of psychotropic agent?
No, I found the pill that I was taking to help me sleep is actually for psychotic, some kind of psychotic thing. I don't know who prescribed it to me many years ago. I thought it was a sleeping pill. Man, am I out of whack.
Weekend weather.
This is depressing. I intentionally just a moment ago opened the front door. I'm in the front room of my house. This was formerly a barber shop. Now it's become a production studio. And it's 39 degrees outside according to the weather on the internet. I am not sure exactly what Noah's talking about.
Here is the latest National Weather Service forecast for Cambria and Somerset counties, including the city of Johnstown. Today, showers likely this morning, then showers with a slight chance of thunderstorms this afternoon. Highs in the upper 40s. Northwest winds 5 to 10 miles an hour with gusts up to 25 miles an hour.
So, this is May. Okay, get this through your heads. These people that are pushing this. Like I said, I'm not going to harp on this today because that was yesterday's story. Today we're going to get a whole different thing. But since we're on the
weekend weather,
I just thought I'd get it out of the way and a follow up to yesterday, and it may be a reminder for someone who didn't watch it. Watch yesterday's show because it was a good rant, about this. It's May. There's no climate change, global warming, because that's when they say climate change, they just change global warming to climate change. Okay. The earth is cooling. It's going to be in the 40s today in the mid-Atlantic, Ohio Valley. This is basically this, I used to go down the shore around this time when I was younger. I'd go around this time because you'd get to get the summer jobs. You go before Memorial Day because they need you to work Memorial Day. And by this time I'd have a solid tan. Okay. March comes in like a lion, out like a frickin' lamb. April showers bring May flowers. Well, guess what? Flowers aren't blooming at 39 degrees, but here it gets worse. So let's go. Weekend weather. Friday. Today is Friday. TGIF, I think I put in the description. I'm probably going to drink. I think I'm going to drink. Today, it's going to be in the 40s, maybe get up to 50 if we're lucky. Doubt that. It's going to be rain off and on, so that's going to be a cold rain. Now, when it's 40 degrees outside, all right, and you get rain, then it puts that cold 40 degrees, right? Because the rain is coming down, cold rain. It's a cold rain. That's a good name for a song. Maybe Dylan had a song called that. So the cold rain comes down, gets into the soil, and makes your soil cold. Then overnight, it's going to be 37 frickin' degrees. So they say that's at your airports with the tarmacs and your jet engines, or your cities with your HVAC systems and high concentration to people. That's where they take these temperatures from. So out anywhere on the outskirts of town or anywhere else in the whole US of A or world, it's actually much cooler by a degree Celsius at least. 37 degrees Fahrenheit tonight. Saturday, another 70% chance of cold rain. The high may be hitting 50. The overnight 39, which basically means 36, 35, freezing perhaps. Sunday, 80% chance of rain. High 48. It's getting colder. Cold rain. Low. Monday, 36 overnight. Tuesday, 34 overnight. That's freezing, man. Because if it's saying it's 34 and the highs in the days are just not seasonal. This has been going on. The reason they cherry pick those numbers, this has been going on for well over a decade or more. The planet is cooling. All right. Our growing season has been reduced. Anyway, that's your weekend weather. Sorry to come on like a little bit, angry or whatever. Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, and they're not telling you what they know, and they know. They're lying to you. We definitely need the fireplace on today. So as always, what I'm going to do is some of the regular conventions here for the regular viewers of the show. We're going to look at the title, and it is, as I alluded to a little bit earlier, it's May 7th in the calendar year 2021 AD. We've been using AD for a long time. We're going to keep using it. Common error. Anyway, it says TGIF, I hope, question mark, exclamation point. In a world gone mad, the options to survive and thrive are simple. Eat, drink, and be merry. The question is, where is that food and drink going to come from, and what is your definition of happiness? Stuttered a bit on there, but I think you got the idea. Eat, drink, and be merry, right? For tomorrow we die. But where's that food and drink going to come from, and what is your definition of happiness? That's what we're going to talk about. The reason it's lighter and the face is whiter today is probably because this hat has a white Wilfred Brimley under it. And it's a duck-billed platypus hat. And I got the screen on full brightness. And it's funny because my face actually has almost a little bit of a tan on it. I mean, slight. And they say, well, that goes against what you're saying before. No, it doesn't. It doesn't go against what I'm saying before, is because what happens is when you live like I am and you're a free man, the moment you see the sun break through on one of those days that's thunderstorms with the little tiny baby sun on there, if the sun comes out for 20 minutes, I'm out the back door on the lounge chair right in the sun and get my 20 minutes of sunshine. and then it starts to rain or thunder or something, and I'm back in the house. You know, you got to grab all the gusto you can get, as they say. So that's it. So today, yeah, it's looking more and more like I'm pumping myself up, ready to be thinking seriously about a little bit of.
Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one. Schaefer pleasure doesn't fade even when your thirst is done. The most rewarding flavor in this man's world of people who are having fun.
This man's world.
Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one.
Everybody.
Yes, Schaefer is the one beer to have when you're having more than one.
Schaefer, the one beer to have when you're having more than one.
Hey, you're Forbes and Harrington, ain't you? Ain't you guys was up in space?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we can still buy a couple of beers for 30 cents Earth money. Huh?
You bet your life, but your money's no good here. The drinks are in the house. I don't get to serve many celebrities. Now drink up, boys.
Thanks.
I don't even care that you cracked up the ship. And I'm a taxpayer.
Say, what's it like up there in outer space?
Well, it's like way out.
It's like way out, man.
Weekend.
Yeah, it's the weekend, so it's time to have some fun, and we're gonna play with all kinds of sound effects. But
the future. He came from the future. And so do I.
But you said that he wasn't human, that he was some other kind of being.
Another world and another time.
It's another world and another time, and it's
Rock Flux Live.
Come along, children. Now we're going to have a little music.
Well, let's hear it.
Insert your station call letters here. Here we go.
I gotta go.
You're clear to go. Hey, don't think this sounds really cool. Let's roll.
Here's one of my songs I wrote about the weather. I'll give you a little bit. It's beat poetry. Tony Caravan beat poetry. For those who've never listened.
There's something wrong with the weather. And it's not just about what they tell us in the news. There's no doubt that the climate is changing. But it's not in the way they've been harping about ad nauseum. The jet stream looks like a roller coaster.
Check that song out. It's available on Spotify, Apple Music, Henry Kitzinger's site, Amazon Music, wherever you buy, wherever music is available, it's available there. You know, Surrealistic Nightmare.
Tony Caravan.
You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, and not what you don't. Radio. Maybe it's the station of your wildest dream. Radio.
I don't know why I just keep saying radio there. I realized that I do have, the other day I was looking for this song, you know, my hit songs. This is a song that was actually played on the radio, believe it or not, in I think it was KCRW in Santa Monica played it. At least I think they claimed they played it. And then there's another, and I think it was also played by some Power or something other in New York City. See if you've ever heard it.
I was supposed to pay for this and that. And they would charge us for everything else. expect us to act when they're kicking us down to the ground? How are we supposed to live? Can't afford the rent. Who are we supposed to believe when we know they're telling us lies? What we're supposed to do? Got no jobs or place to go. Where are they taking this country? What are they doing to the land? Bigger than dead, better than dead. Enough of them lying crap. Bigger than that, better than that. Enough of them lying crap. All the politicians are shoveling it.
All the politicians are shoveling it. Yeah, that was one of my hit songs. This is another hit. Of course, not to you, but
It's not hard to see the things have gotten from bad to worse everywhere. Humanity's clearly on a path of self-destruction and hopelessness. Not that things haven't seemed dreadful before.
yeah, I play all instruments. You know, write all music. These are all, registered BMI. And you can listen to these songs, on Spotify and stuff like that. And this is what I call my later music, which is available on CD. If you can see this. The Essential Beat Poetry of Tony Caravan. Let's see if we get the list on there. No, it's hard to see. But what I don't have on here. I don't know. Well, I haven't moved all my music over. But on here is Happy Nightmares Live. There's 2 live tracks. The Worst Christmas Hanukkah song ever written or performed live, and Happy Nightmares Live. And that song, The Weather's on here. And of course, Game Over. And The Weather, which I played a little bit of before. And Bigger Than That. Robots. Everything You Know Is Wrong. This is good stuff. Like they say. This is the good stuff. Of course, it won't stay the way I want it to stay. It won't stay the way you can see it. A little bit of a music show. I get copyright. They'll give me like little copyright hits for that, But I've got a lot of songs, man. There's a lot of songs out there. I'm just scanning through here in the morning, trying to calm myself down a little bit because, it's very upsetting, when you see the, like I say, the memes on YouTube or the headlines, my headlines, the things that I deal with.
Okay.
All right. Yes, I know. So if you notice the meme title card of this particular show of shows, you saw a $10,000 bill. And you see that the guy named Chase, from Chase Manhattan Bank, Chase families on the $10,000 bill. I believe the $10,000 bills are now out of circulation. I'm pretty sure. I think eventually they're going to take all bills out of circulation. just like they're trying to like pull in the coinage because they were trying to get us into a cashless society. And money soon will be worthless, as it says. It's kind of a soiled dollar, $10,000 bill that I had from long ago. Great solar stuff. Everything you know is wrong. That's another one of them. That was the first song. Well, the first song I ever recorded, I don't have here. I recorded it on a 4-track back in the 90s. And I do not see. Yeah. I know. I kick me for constantly doing this. How difficult would it have been for me to have taken like 2 or 3 of these songs I keep talking about that I don't have on this other sound effects computer to put them on a thumb drive and just carry them over? I know. But, in the title I talked about, so the idea is to eat, drink, and be merry. And it's kind of a little too bright. So I'm going to go into System, Universal Access, and dim the face a little bit. It'll get brighter. It's just the way it happens. This just feels more comfortable in my eyes. It's like I feel like I need an eye drop in my left eye. But when you live in a world of illusion, which we do right now, and they just keep telling us lies, like my songs say. I've written these songs over the years. The first song I did actually, like I said, I did on a 4-track, recorded it back in the 90s. And then in the early 2000s, I recorded Everything You Know Is Wrong, which is EYKIW. It's listed that way. The first letters of each word. Everything you know is wrong. Don't know why I did that. Probably just makes it harder for people to find. And it probably would be better. But it's such a long title. I don't know. Stupid thing I did. I recorded that. And that's a pretty interesting track. And then I got involved in a series of publishing ventures and different things. I was trying. It was like a last hurrah before I decided that I was going to just get out of the rat race completely. And once I got out of the rat race completely, then I started to just write books and songs. And I went through this period where I was writing a lot of songs. And I like I say, well, I don't know what the exact count is when it's all said and done, though. It's something like about 50 tracks that are out there. The first CD, I showed you this other thing. The first CD looks like this. If you can see that. It's got me wearing that beret that I wore the other day. It's called 8 Tracks. And unfortunately, when you go to Spotify, you see this image. And it's not like this thing totally sucks, because this does have EYKIW, which is the Everything You Know Is Wrong song on it. And it also has the worst Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa song ever written or sung live. But apart from that, it wasn't, I mean, I wrote all the songs, I played all the instruments and mastered it for the CD. But like I say, said this before. Yeah, did you ever discover a band and then you found they had an album back in their first album, and the first album sucks? It's like anything else. It's like even somebody who's a painter, it's not, I mean, I'm generalizing, or a sculptor or anybody. It's when you first start a thing, you're not necessarily, you're getting your chops, so to speak. You want to do this thing, right? The creative juices are flowing, your consciousness is melding with the, bioelectric brain, android body, the experiential thing of the world. And it's starting to flow, and and suddenly this creative, you have a new creative outlet. Over the years, I've had many creative outlets. Some people put their creative outlet into work, into what they do. They're creative within that. Some people put their creativity into a relationship. I used to do that a lot too. I used to be like, women used to be my my art form. I put all my creativity into just having a good time with women. That's like a weird thing. In today's society, there's probably, I mean, you would basically call that being a romantic, I guess. But I was like pretty much a very romantic type of character. But no, I was always creative in one way, shape, or form. Come from that kind of background, and did laundry yesterday, so a nice, fresh, clean handkerchief. So what's going to happen? Why did I say that, this thing on here, money will soon be worthless? What was I talking about? And what did I mean by, in a world gone mad, options to survive and thrive are simple: eat, drink, and be merry. Question is, where are you going to get the food and drink from? Well, we've touched on these topics before, but it's getting to that point where things are coming to a head. So the lies are becoming more ingrained in the public consciousness. So, we're way past the point of no return. And if you go out there and look at headlines, memes, sound bites, clips, do the old take your remote control and click around the channels. If you still have TV, I mean, that remote control controls my monitors and things of that nature, which double as TVs. But if you flip around, you still have that, ancient television technology. The used car salesman on the news media. You if you have any kind of functioning brain, that's attached to a consciousness, a conscious you, because that's the one unifying theme throughout this show is consciousness, which is the basis. Oh, I'll just show you. Let me grab my book. You could see the game over hat there, and of course Maggie the AI. I don't know if I talked to her yesterday or not. But Codex, which obviously nobody seems to be buying. The hard problem of consciousness, adventures for your mind, flow of consciousness, blah, blah, blah. But you know, consciousness is the recurring and universal theme here. See if I can do something without having a major disaster. Come on, stay there, please. This world. That does nothing. That ruined the view of the CD. That does nothing but ruin the view of the CD. That's better. Maybe if I set this here. Yeah. It could work. It doesn't fall. Game over. Great solar stuff. Maggie. You can't see anything back there. Unless I do this. Let's see. Where is it? And then you can see the American flag. A 1960s telephone. Mulder's poster from his basement. And the original Macintosh. It's kind of interesting. And like kind of an odd bluish green glow to reality. All this stuff produced and electrified by stored energy created through solar, or charged and stored. It's interesting. It's an interesting set. The LEDs in my on-air sign are failing, which is kind of depressing. But anyway, it's a bright light. This side will light up. Sunrise is at 6:08 a.m. in my neck of the woods in the former United States. So this side will start to light up on its own within the next 15 minutes. This is the second half of the 2-liter Dr. Thunder 79 cents for 2-liter bottle. These are a pair of genuine spy glasses. They look like regular shades. Right? Let's see here. Like Mr. Cool Shades. Hey, baby. You want to go for a ride in my chopper? But actually what they do is they, I could have it set right now to where it's recording video and audio, and not just short clips, fairly long. Or I could snap and just take snapshot pictures and look like I'm adjusting my sunglasses, and meanwhile I'm just taking some snapshots. Spy glasses. It's like the Wolfman, secret agent spy scopes. Is this where you get those secret agent spy scope? Remember that line from American Graffiti? Here's a Wolfman. Wolfman Jack. How that guy did that his whole life. I mean, did he really talk like that? I never knew the guy in person. Or did he push that voice out? I could do a pretty good imitation of the guy. So it's possible to create the Wolfman voice, but the question was, or was that just natural? Or did he create it? Whatever it was it unique to the man. 34 minutes into the show. Have we given you any advice? Anything yet? No. I didn't eat any breakfast today. I should have. I think maybe that's why I'm getting a little bit of a headache towards the left side of my face. Either that or a stroke. So, in a world gone mad, which clearly is the case, and as I was saying, where the lies have become reality for most people, I mentioned about there being the functional illiterate has become the majority. So it seems, anyway. Because who else would put up with this? You would have to be functionally illiterate to deal with this kind of bull. And that people like me who go out and give examples, write books, songs, create shirts, things to get the message out, within a kind of a subtle way and the way you would expect it, people don't embrace it. You think people would, you think everything is wrong would be, people, I would have sold like 1,000 of those shirts or this one. Like I said, you don't know what you don't know. Because it's a very non-confrontative way of getting the message out. Because you're in line, you're outside. These are t-shirts. It's getting warmer weather will eventually come. Like I say, the reason I'm it's like the wind is taken out of my sails is because gardening and being outdoors is a big part of my life. And it's kind of on topic with this show about eat, drink, and be merry. Where is it going to come from, though? And it's going to come from you. Yesterday, in a little bit of time, the break in the action, even though it was a cool day, the sun did pop out. There were clouds, but the sun did pop out for certain little, peaks. And I planted a few seeds, put some, like, whatever you call it, covering. I'm losing my mind. Burlap. I put burlap over it. And you see, we're still getting like 30 mile per hour winds and stuff, which is insanity. One theory I had pushed out, and this is years ago because this has been happening for a long time. This is not a new occurrence. Like some people are saying, well, yeah, just because it's cold this year doesn't mean we're not in global warming. Yeah, well, we were cold last year and the year before and the year before that. People were talking about don't plant till after Memorial Day, like June 1st. I was like, get lost, man. One of the best years I ever had growing was when I planted in end of March, early April. That's when I had one of my best crops of squash and tomatoes and things like that. No, the cold weather just it's extending. I was showing someone a couple of days ago, like on my Instagram account, and which I should put. See, the thing about this, I'll tell you, they're all really whacked out. Let's see, Instagram. See if it lets me log in because I'm in a different. I don't want to log in this way. How do you see if I could just put my name in there? I don't know how this works. No. I don't want to open up another browser. Just look up Tony Caravan. I have an Instagram account. But if you go back, it spans a couple of years. I haven't been on that long. Probably think it's about 3 years. And, I was showing somebody some things and it was like, yeah, see, it snowed, or even just last year, saying, see how it snowed like November 2nd, like right after Halloween, you know? So it's like the snows and the cold weather comes earlier every year, it seems. And, the warm weather comes later and later. So that the grow season is just, down to this thing. And the problem is, there are some plants from seed, to, getting to harvest, could take anywhere from 60 to 80 days and stuff like that. People who grow like melons, watermelons, and certain things like that, those things take like forever. I mean, well, just imagine if you're going to get a watermelon, the amount of time. Unless you're watering it like crazy and have some ridiculously, controlled environment, you might be able to speed up the process. But, summer, you only have, June to September, June to, the end of August. September is only 90 days, roughly, So, that's assuming your seeds, germinate, and everything goes well. And that just means that it's starting to harvest, so I've already noticed that like by the 15th, the second week or so of September, it's starting to cool down. And then certain plants, they go to seed when the weather changes. It's just like the cool weather crops, like lettuce and things like that. When it starts getting real hot, they like go to seed because that's the end of they like cooler weather. Like this is good this is lettuce growing weather. It's not ideal though, because of the 34 degrees, getting close to freezing, is not cool. But, 50s and 40 some nights would be ideal for lettuce. Lettuce, would be doing fine. But, and then what happens usually, the way this thing is, because I think it also has to do with axial tilt. What I was trying to get at is what I was telling somebody is that it's almost as if, because remember, everything is wrong, and what you don't know, you don't know. That's why I really focus on those two shirts. I mean, I have Game Over, which you can get on a shirt, hood, all these things you can get on hoodies, and you can get them on bags, little cloth bags that you could take to the grocery store or keep your laundry in or whatever. And I highly recommend it. Like I said, it's a very subtle way of some, because people are out there nosy. They're always looking at you. Because people don't have their own lives. That's another thing I notice about the functionally illiterate masses who seem to be the majority now. They're like trying to live your life, right? They're all interested in your life. So they're always looking. So give them something to look at, Used to be the line used to say, take a good look, prices go up tomorrow, right? There was an area in a like fencing facing me and my next door neighbor that was, it's about a 7-foot fence, I guess. So for the most part, it's a private yard, but there was one area where it was lower, was just a fence at about, 5 feet or less. So I had to put up like 2 feet to cover that spot this year because she's been gotten nosier and nosier by the year. But nosier, and she is she's a foul mouth. Not that I haven't thrown enough F-bombs and may still in this show and stuff. That's not it. No, she uses the, in a put it this way, this is a integrated neighborhood, and she's a psychotic bigot, weirdo, freak of nature. So I don't want the stress of having to deal with her. She used to lean over my fence and be saying stuff, and I'm trying to just lay and bask in the sun or something. It's like, leave me alone. Your world is not my world, okay? And people like that can't understand that. You know, they see somebody doing things. It's like anybody can do, and this is on topic today. I'm just building up to this. Anyone can do what anyone else can do. You're a human unless you have a specific handicap. And there are even people that can do things by overcoming handicaps. But there are some people that just, you know, they're just nosy bastards. Well, anyway, to finish an earlier thought and then get in and, you know, tie all this stuff together. So it almost seems to me that we've shifted. So it's May, but maybe it's really April. You know, as far as, you know, astronomically speaking. But do you think someone would actually tell us that? No. I mean, who would? Why would they? You know? Let's see if I can turn that to white. No. Anyway. So when you can't believe, you can't believe, you don't know who to believe, you know, you can't believe the government, and you can't believe the corporatocracy because it's an organized crime syndicate. And they're proven liars, you know. So the truth then becomes what? You know, you have to, you know, and that's why nobody watches my show. Wears my shirts, buys my books, listens to my songs. And probably why people are afraid to share it. Because there's this fear of the truth. You know, I lay out the truth all the time with facts and logic, you know. But people still don't want to accept it. You know, it's like, and so, you know, the reason I talk about the garden and the importance of that and the shortening growing season and the lies about climate change, the lies, is that this is a big issue. This is a potential, you know, we're talking about crop shortages on a large scale. And that's scary. Ah, that's good. There's actually no one watching this thing live right now. It's kind of a good feeling. So you've got to grow. You've got to be able to have at least understand the concept. And I put it in some of my books, how to make a raised bed, what's called a raised bed, or what's called square gardening, in which case you use a raised bed. And square gardening means it's just a 1 foot garden. And to give you an example, because I included it in book 8, I believe, which is basically a compendium of the lyrics of my songs. This is what a raised bed garden, and the lighting on that's fairly decent. I mean, you could kind of see what's going on there. You see just a bunch of growth in this rectangular thing. But to make sense out of it, I've put in this thing, and I've done this in a previous book as well. And this is like how to build one. You see down at the bottom, there's like a rectangle. If you look really close, there, you can see that there are 6 squares, and they're approximately 1 foot each. So in this instance, you're talking about a 2 by 3 foot, raised bed box. Doesn't take much to do that. Book 8. Like I say, this is mainly this has every song except I thought I was done writing songs when I wrote this book. This is, this was written in, this is 2019. The winter of 2019. So it was kind of released. Most people wouldn't have seen that this book was out till like 2020 last year. But this was written while Event 201 was going on. But when I say written, it's not really, I want to be honest with people. It's, there's there's a little bit of writing in the beginning, but the bulk of this book is just, like I say, was a compendium. And of course, you get the classic, a compendium of my songs. This is a good one. Good line. We've forgotten more than all that we've been taught. And I've got some goofy, weird stuff in there too. It wasn't a bad book. But I mean, in the collection, if you're a collector of Tony Caravan stuff. And the idea is that, everyone should do that. And I mentioned before, you can grow in your house even. I did it in Florida. And I don't even mean, you could grow with grow lights, obviously. People grow in their basement. I grow in my porch in a closet. And I'm no expert at this stuff. I screwed up. I let it get out of control. I didn't trim my tomato plants, and it's just a mess. I'm going to end up throwing that stuff away. I went to a nursery the other day and bought tomato plants. I don't know. I'm just going to I get lazy and goofy and weird as the next person. Irresponsible. I don't know what I need to go in there and just snip all that. And then you get these things called fungus gnats if you don't really take care of stuff. And I don't know. In other words, I don't know where they come from, the soil or something. So it's a little bit out of control. But anyway, you can grow indoors. You can grow in a closet with grow lights. All right. But it's a matter of having enough food to eat. But things like lettuce, everybody grows tomatoes in their backyard. I mean, tomatoes is like the most popular, like, personal growing thing. And I'm not, but tomatoes are hard to grow indoors unless you're in a real southern climate and you have a south facing window. I did it when I was in Florida. But, what you want are things that you can actually eat. So you can also just take these storage containers that you can get at like Walmart for maybe, I bought them once for $5. I don't know. The price of everything's going up. So the point is, if you need a certain thing, start buying it, because prices aren't going to go down. Prices are going to go up. That's another one of these lies that's not, we're dealing with inflation, and we're starting to get runaway inflation. And that's like why I kind of, what I was trying to make the point with this $10,000 bill. Money will soon be worthless. When you have runaway inflation, your money's worthless. They're also easing credit. Like I said, I just got myself a Capital One Walmart card for the hell of it. And I swore off credit, but I figured out what the heck, supposed to be 5% cash back or something. But I gave that story. It's my way of getting back at Capital One because they put me through the ringer one time for no reason whatsoever. And I had to take them, fight them in court, and I won. So I figured my living well is the best revenge. My revenge with Capital One is that they tried, messing with me. And I basically I said, you guys are so goofy. I got a Capital One card now. You idiots. Like I say, that's where creativity comes in too. You could, a lawyer could be creative, but this growing idea is, I just recommend that anyone, that you grow. And that square gardening idea, the 2x3 space, 2 feet by 3 feet is not a lot of space. It's really not, So you've got, I have right here. This is actually interesting. This is a printer's ruler, like an old printer's ruler. Yeah, it's got points and picas and things like that. Metal, it's metal. Yeah. But anyway, so the space is 1 foot by 1 foot. Okay. So 1 foot by 1 foot. And you say, okay, so I've got 6 things I'm going to grow. So you take 2 seeds, a couple seeds. Depends on what you want to grow. Like if you're into certain herbs, like parsley grows really well. And parsley's pretty good for you. Oregano grows really well. Lettuce will grow fairly well. It's a cooler weather crop. And you don't, once you get a thing of lettuce, like if you have 2 lettuce plants, if you put, you've got this 1 square thing, and I'll show you. I mean, I actually have videos of my garden growing right now. I did a garden update, and you can see the beginnings of everything. It's just this weather we're talking about. They just keep pushing it back. Every time I look at the forecast, the further out it goes, the colder the nights are going to get. So I wanted to put these tomatoes. I bought these tomatoes at a nursery. They're really good tomato plants. And luckily I have this little greenhouse out there, but I wanted to get them in the ground. But tomatoes, they need the soil temperature should be about close to 50 degrees. I have tomatoes and peppers. And if it's 40 degrees in the daytime raining, that's cool, bringing wet, cold 40-degree weather sinking into the soil. And if it's in the low 30s, mid to low 30s at night, that soil, there's no way that soil is going to be 50 degrees or even in mid 40s. It's going to be cold. So that's, it's upsetting. And that's why I went off the rails when I see, these people talking about climate change, which in their mind is global warming. They're saying temperatures are going to rise. or have risen. And they haven't. They honestly really haven't. And we went to the Farmer's Almanac the other day, yesterday even. Prove a point. Dog days of summer. And that's what I was saying. I talked to my 87-year-old mother yesterday, and she was like, yeah, I remember August was always 90s for weeks, late July, August. Yeah, it's dog days of summer. Things have changed. So these like people have come out, they put out this thing that I held up before. Well, I have it here. I held it up 15,000 times yesterday. See, this guy was trying to make, this is the governor, woof, woof, of Pennsylvania. And what he was trying to do is he's cherry picked 2 years. He's going from 1971 to 2000. There was only an average of 5 days over 90 and only 1 day over 95, which is a bold face. I mean, such a lie for anyone who was alive during that time. But see, they're going after kids. So kids born, somebody 21 right now was born in 2000. Or even somebody born in 1995 was 5-year-old, so it's from a 25-year-old would not even be consciously aware of the weather, right? That this is a bold-faced lie. And then he jumps from 2000 and he goes all the way up to 2041 to 2070. Like he's some magical crystal ball guy and trying to show all these little baby thermometers. Look how many 90 days we're going to have and how this is going to cause a problem. Well, the idea is we already have that in the summertime. That's not the problem. So that's what I'm trying to tell you about the lies. Like where I'm still, even with all the stuff that I talk about, it's confusing to me is I'm really still trying to figure out what exactly are they up to. I know what they're doing. See their methodology. I know what their means are. The question is, what are their ends? Is it total depopulation? I mean, what nefarious goal of this organized crime syndicate is there? And why are they putting out these obvious lies that anyone over the age of 25 knows from personal firsthand experience? Right? 5 days. It was only 90 degrees for 5 days. You got to be kidding me. Like I said, I'm a guy who was down the shore, traveled all over the U.S., been in other countries. I've been in the Southern Hemispheres 3 times in Australia, right? Been in Hawaii, been all over, man. Heat. In the summertime, it's freaking hot, hotter than hell. When I was younger, I hardly ever wore a shirt in the summertime. It's how hot it was. And I wasn't into some like muscle man thing or some goofy thing like that. Exhibitionism. I wasn't really that kind of guy. I was a shy guy when I was younger. So we've got to figure out ways to eat. If you're a beer drinker, it's the ideas of I have the ability. I've already brewed my own beer a couple of times, and I have the stuff to do it. And I will probably either do it this summer or this fall. This fall or winter, I'll probably do another brew. I got to get conscious. You got to get your mind into it. See, the thing is to get started. It's like with gardening. You just got to get started. It's like anything. You got to take that first step. It's like if you're living in some place where it's overpriced, you got to start taking the first step. And sometimes the first step is just looking, starting to think about it, looking or making a list. That's the first step. The first step is the hardest step. It's like some old, thing. And all those old, adages, wives' tales, urban legend type things, there's always truth to some of those things, right? Not entirely, but there's a lot of truth to these things. There's reasons these things have been passed down from generation to generation. So you got to take the first step to make your life, to improve your life. And some people might look at the idea and say, eat, drink, and be merry. What, that sounds like the devil may care attitude or whatever. You're a sinner. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about eat, drink, and be merry. The purpose of life. I mean, you're a living person. The pursuit of happiness, the founding fathers, okay? If you look very closely behind my head, it's hard to see. You could start to make out the letters on the poster as date time. It's 6:18 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the former United States of America. Western civilization has fallen. These are the Tony Caravan Chronicles. And if you're finding this in the future, this is how the United States fell and how civilization was destroyed by an organized crime syndicate that I call the corporatocracy. Watch these videos and you'll see where we went wrong as a society. That's what these things are for. Because the people of my day, they didn't heed my words or the words of anyone who was trying to explain to them the truth and where they went wrong. But the idea of eat, drinking, and being merry is that, yes, the pursuit of happiness was a great thing. The Constitution's no longer in effect. Declaration of Independence doesn't mean anything. The Bill of Rights was thrown out the window. I mean, it's been violated so many ways over the past several years that is unbelievable, that it's gone beyond the point of salvaging. And that's one of the problems. That's what led to the downfall of Western civilization, is the inability for the people who still believed in these cult of personalities of politicians that were really just puppets. And they supported campaigns financially, which brings us into what I'm trying to say. Your money is worthless, because what they did was, in effect, they funded the very people that destroyed civilization, the media and the corporatocracy, because that's where that money went to. Every time if you even give $5 to a candidate, you're giving $5 to the media. And the media is part of the corporatocracy, and that's all an organized crime syndicate. There is no hope in 2022, 2024, okay? Elections have been rendered, exercises in futility. Anyone who goes out and vote is a fool. It's just a fool. Right? The idea is to detach yourself as much as possible from them. Like I said, it's no different than the gangs and mobs being somewhere in your town. Move out of that neighborhood, or if you don't go outside, or figure out their changing of the guard, so to speak, or when they're drunk and inside there having their parties or something, and that's when you go grab your provisions or whatever. Stay away from them. Limit your exposure to them the best as possible. don't have any connection and reliance on them. And when I say them, I mean the corporatocracy, the organized crime syndicate that's running what was formerly the United States of America and formerly Western civilization. That includes, countries in the EU and other places. We're experiencing runaway inflation. The prices of everything are going up. They're not going to come down. You see, we're dealing with scarcity or false scarcity, whatever the case may be. Some people are hoarding. There's been stories of stacks and stacks of lumber being hoarded just to keep the price up. They've done this before with oil. The old OPEC nations used to do that kind of thing. They would hold back production to raise the price. But the U.S. was, just on that quick aside, the U.S. became energy independent, and that's when our price of gas was down to like $2. Some places it was less than $2. Now it's over $3 and inching its way up. It's going to go close to $4 or more. I mean, eventually it'll be $5 or so. They don't want you driving those cars, you see. But the problem is, and that's why their infrastructure talks are lies, because you can't fix infrastructure without carbon-based fuels, because it requires heavy equipment that can't run on batteries. I mean, it could run on a battery, but it would only run for, 15 minutes. You couldn't fix a bridge or a road. See, it's like even these things here that I have in the background, over here. I could turn this light on, all right, and I don't know, it'll probably last maybe an hour, a couple hours or two. The radio might last for 5 or 6 hours, if it's on low volume. But I'm going to have to recharge it. It's the same with this other thing here, the Jackery thing. I mean, I had the spec sheet somewhere laying around here, but, it'll run your laptop for 3 hours or something like that, 3 to 5 hours. But then it's going to need a charge. It'll run a light bulb for like 36 hours or something like that. So let there be light's not a problem. But then they need to be charged. But the beautiful thing is they could be charged. Well, this one you can crank charge. But the Jackery, it's solar. You have any kind of solar panel or something, you could charge it just in the sun, putting it in the sun. So everybody should have something like that, number one. That's the only reason I have this great solar stuff. I was going to get rid of it because I get, it costs me money. Like I say, I lose money. I'm not monetized on YouTube. It doesn't matter anyway, but I was going to get rid of I've had greatsolarstuff.com, this URL, as they call it, the domain name, for a long time, 20 some years. And, from time to time, I guess a few things, I've had things up there that have sold, solar Christmas lights. I have them on my front porch. I keep them up all year. Now, why take them down? And, those damn things have been working for like 3 years nonstop. This, latest batch I've had up there. They get charged in the daytime, and it's like, every morning, because I'm down here when it's dark. So I see, the lights are on the porch. It's like that, forget who the country singer song is. I leave my Christmas lights on all year or something. But, everybody should have that kind of, crank solar chargeable. That's a built-in solar panel on the top of that too. And I've already tested that a couple times. It charges pretty quick in the sun. But everybody should have that. It's got that no emergency weather, so what's going on. But it's got AM, FM if you just want to listen to music or a local station. It's got that ridiculous flashlight, and in the side of it, you can there's an emergency two USB ports. You can emergency charge like your cell phone or something if you had to. So why wouldn't you want something like that only costs $35? People got all this money from the government, and what'd they do with it? Order DiGiorno pizzas or something, right? Delivery pizza. And what'd they do? Spend $35. The other thing cost a couple $100, but I mean, that's a lifesaver because that you're no longer in darkness, with something like that. And the better part of the country, has problems. The Midwest has tornadoes. The Southeast has hurricanes. The Northeast has nor'easters, winter storms. The Northwest has, winter storms. The Southeast and whatever has droughts, and California wildfires. I mean, this world we live on, is a, very volatile place, Right now there's several volcanoes going off. We have, earthquakes, mild earthquakes, but they're still earthquakes, that cause damage, structural damage to places. You don't hear about all that stuff. Other parts of the world, they've got, floods, droughts. I mean, this stuff's been happening since the beginning of time. It's the ebb and flow and the cycles of the sun and the planet. Axial tilt, something they call precession, right? There's pole flips that occur, right? And then there's these micronovas where the sun kicks off its shell at the Earth, and it's a near extinction event every 12,000 years, which is coming up. We're actually in that period right now. And like anything, it's not like an exact clockwork. I mean, this could happen tomorrow. The actual date is 2046, historically, anthropologically, the next time that this is due, this cycle. So it could happen in most people's lifetimes. Again, we're at that time, that point, that period. So that's just the reality. And trying to blame it on global warming, climate change, or this diversion, this bait and switch, this deception, sleight of hand, the glamour, as I call it, the witchcraft, the black mirror on the wall. What's the temperature going to be in 2070? Mr. Governor, woof, woof. And so people have to be functionally illiterate not to be aware of this. So like I said before, I show the old gold coin, right? The concept of money in most people's minds, but your cash ain't nothing but trash. It was a Steve Miller song. And the idea is that money won't buy you a couple of leaves of lettuce, right? And I was talking about this square garden thing, choosing what you put in there. And what if you only had a 2-foot by 3-foot space, whether it's just on your porch, patio, or inside next to a window, or whether you just went to a Walmart or someplace and bought one of these storage containers, right, with the lid and a couple bags of soil and filled that up. You could probably put just out of that, you could probably get 4 squares, 1-inch squares, and plant 4 different things. So you could plant maybe 2 lettuce plants in one of the squares. Because I've had 2 lettuce plants. One, if they grow, you take a leaf or 2 off of each one each day, and another leaf will grow. You could eat salads for weeks, right? And so you can also grow some kind of herb or something else you like to put in your salad in one of the other ones. Things like I say, parsley, oregano, cilantro, stuff like that. That grows like crazy, real crazy. And if you look at my garden update video, I was just checking my verification from YouTube. But if you look at that, you'll see, everything, because I have everything in now except my tomatoes and peppers, which take the longest to reach maturity and start producing. And that's why I'm really pissed off. I have potatoes in the ground and they've already, the leaves are already up. I have radishes. I could probably eat a radish out of the yard today. Yesterday, I made a sandwich with a couple of leaves of lettuce from my garden and a handful of some oregano and a couple pieces of parsley. I just chopped that up, put it on like a French bread thing, and made a sandwich with some meat and cheese. So, that's the whole thing. So, that's the kind of the one people call the survivalist prepping thing. But I'm like, don't, forget about all that stuff. Who the heck wants MREs and bags of rice and weird stuff like that? Just figure a way to, grow a garden in your backyard or on your patio, have a little growth area, or like I say, in your windowsill if you can. Extend, if you own your home, it's your home. And if you have a window that gets a lot of sun, usually a southern facing window is the ideal. Get a plank and extend the windowsill out, 8 inches, get a, you can buy 8, whatever, 8 foot by 8 inch board, which these days probably cost you like $15 or something, or $20. I mean, it's ridiculous. But it's unlikely your windows will be 8 feet wide. So my idea would be probably a 4 foot. Put a 4 foot, because an 8 by 8 by 2 type of thing, a sturdy board. Put that adjacent, extend your windowsill indoors, and take the other part of it, and in the center of that, put that in under, from the shelf to the bottom as a support. Butt that up to the window, and then just get you go to Walmart and get these little L brackets or even straight brackets and bracket it to your window sill, which is wood against wood. So you screw in there, and then you've got that super support in the middle. And that would extend your windowsill's normally this thing, it would extend your windowsill out so wide that you could actually have, even just instead of, you could just grow things in larger potted plant type of containers. So you could have a lettuce container, an herb container, and then a couple of exotic things, you could do. You could grow squash or something like that and let it overflow. I mean, the only downfall that I've had about growing indoors, and why I do it on my back porch, which is hard because I have to heat that porch because it's not insulated. It's because I have a cat. And if you have a cat, they tend to, they just can't resist like chewing or scratching at leaves and stuff like that. It's real pain, because I have an area upstairs that could easily get sunlight in a window, but the cat, that's like an area where the cat hangs out too much. And I've already tried a couple of times, and the darn thing is, just destroyed the plants. Cats destroy plants. That's just one of those things. 2-liter bottle, 79 cents. So yeah, so to finish this off, because this all, once I'm not ending this, but I mean, we got a little time here. In case for someone who's just tuned in at this point.
You're listening to Tony Caravan Live.
I'm just calling it as I see it, the way it really is. My eyes are wide open. I've experienced this stuff. And so there's clearly inflation. But yes, you can still go right now to places like the Walmarts and different places and buy these things. My advice is get the things you need that will help you thrive and survive, or survive and thrive. And don't waste money, and simplify your life and reduce your expenses. And by reducing your expenses, that reduces your exposure to this organized crime syndicate, the corporatocracy. And think about the things you need. Do you need all the things you need? Because look, this isn't political anymore. I've talked before about how this is like Marxist, authoritarian, totalitarian police state, Stasi state, and all that kind of stuff. Communist Chinese party and all that. And all that's true. But the big but is that the corporatocracy is in control. The world's basically being run, by an organized crime syndicate that cooperates. There's cooperation and deals made. It's like negotiations between street gangs. This is our territory, this is your territory. Every now and then they might have a clash or something like that. But, there's deals made. That's what like treaties are, in the world stage. People agree, to, a defined line, right? That's why we have borders, right? Lines drawn, when you're flying in a plane and you look down there's no lines. I mean, you can see farms and stuff that have fences or, different crops kind of delineate areas. But generally speaking, when you fly over continents, depends on how high you are up in the plane. If there's no, you can't tell where Canada ends and the US begins, or where Germany ends, and so that's how they work. That that's the nature of those, the rulers of the planet, who weren't going away and have just become more and more powerful. And now they have technology, robotics, AI, algorithms, and all this to back them up. They're invincible. They're invincible. Resistance is futile. Okay? So survival is the only way. But survival isn't enough. You want to eat, drink, and be merry, which is the theme of this show. And your money is going to be worthless. That's not the thing. Like I said, you're not going to buy a roll of toilet paper with a gold coin. the person with who has the toilet paper is going to say, I'll take a bag of soil for a pack of toilet paper, or a 8x8, or a couple of 2x4s. You see, the real world, that's where we're heading. And a lot of people just don't see that. They think, oh, it's just going to be, there'll be another election and it'll be, goes left to right, right to left. It's like, no, I'm telling you, they're cementing this global World Economic Forum Great Reset. And that's a global governance. And it's basically an organized crime syndicate. So you have to take measures. You've got to reduce your cost of living. You've got to get to a point where you're at least exposure to these people. That's the thing. All these people talking about guns and ammo and resistance. Like I say, resistance is futile. Just like protest and all that stuff, it's futile. Campaign contributions and supporting the cult of personality of a particular individual, you're just giving that money and supporting the corporatocracy or the organized crime syndicate. That's where that money goes. Advertisements are meaningless to people who have already made up their minds. Think about it. All right? You can't change a person's ideology, a core value, a core belief. There was days when when politics was about policies and things like that, and people used to compromise on issues that were just a different way of looking at a different way of solving a particular problem. And they didn't have, they didn't have repercussions that affected, life and death, so to speak. But right now, the differences, what I call the irreconcilable differences between people, are life and death issues, our core values. That's why it's over. The U.S. is no longer exists. It's a former United States, because you can't have compromise between Second Amendment rights and people that want to take away guns. You can't have compromise with people who believe in free speech and those who have taken it away and don't believe in free speech. You can't have a compromise between somebody who's pro-abortion and somebody who's pro-life. There's no common ground. There's no halfway measure there, right? And the list goes on. You can't have compromise between somebody who wants to have some Middle Eastern war for the sake of supplying military contractors with billions and billions of dollars in armaments, and doesn't care and just uses soldiers as cannon fodder, right? And people who are saying there's no need for that war and it's not going to protect our freedom, right? Because that's the only reason a person would be willing to give up their life would be for, as they say, for God and country or something, and not for some military contractor. How many lives have been lost, in these fake wars that basically were manufactured for military contractors or for some socioeconomic geopolitical end, that just profited the corporatocracy or the organized crime syndicates like the Gulf of Tonkin and the Vietnam War, and things of that nature. All these things have come out. We know these things to be true. They fessed up about these things. Iran Contra, MK Ultra, all these things. Nothing's, the secrets have been exposed. And so when you know the facts, then that's reality. You know, you don't why listen to lies anymore? You know, I stick my head out the door and it's freezing out there, and I look at the weather forecast and I see the next 5 days every night it's going to be getting close to freezing. I know I can't plant my tomatoes and my peppers. The growing season is being shortened. But they're lying. Why? See, that's the thing. Because they want to bring in some kind of totalitarian police state, and they want us to be dependent upon them, or it's like an and or. They want to depopulate like massive amounts of us. That's why this whole plague thing, I question that, and I believe it was a bioweapon. And then I don't care. It just points to it. Everything points to it. But whether or not that's true or not, it doesn't matter. Because we know these people have also been on record of saying, don't let a good crisis go to waste. So whether or not it was a natural thing, they certainly were opportunistic with it. And they've turned it into a profit center. It's basically $1 trillion business for the corporatocracy, for the organized crime syndicate. The same people that are selling the poppies from Afghanistan, the heroin trade. That's the government. That's big pharma. Who do you think's in charge of that stuff? Big tech are the people who took away, with their big data, who took away free speech, right? Bill Gates is buying up all the farmland, big ag now. The military-industrial complex, the defense contractors are fiddling around all over. You know, they're fiddling in Ukraine. They're fiddling back in the Middle East again. You know, they're trying to start their little things. And all the little alphabet agencies are all out there doing their dirty deeds again. Places we don't even know about in South America, Southeast Asia, Africa, places people don't pay attention to and the news media ignores. You know, and the list goes on and on and on. Forget about Wall Street, but that's what I put the $10,000 bill up. Those are the people that are basically getting rid of money. I mean, money bills have been basically, when I'm talking about dollar bills, it's been fiat currency to begin with, but now it's all this blockchain type of stuff. You know, it's ledgers in the cloud. Well, at any given time, you know, the Federal Reserve System, which is a central banking system tied into other central banks around the world, they just put a number, you know, on a ledger in the cloud, and that's money. But they're in it for just their own profit, their control, their manipulation of people. So your cash is going to be worthless. Your money's going to be worthless. There's probably people out there hoarding cash or you know, or like gold, things like this. And it's like, you have to remember, like I've said it 1,000 times. Guy knocks on your door and says, I'll give you, you know, this thing's worth approximately right now, I think somewhere around $1,700 if this were an ounce of gold. This really isn't a pure ounce of gold. This is like a gold plated thing. You know, I don't want to lie to you, pretend I have gold. Okay. This is like gold plated, more or less. There's a percentage of gold in this, but it's not 100. It's not 99.99% pure is what you want. But if you had like a 99.999% pure gold coin this size, 1 ounce, it would be worth $1,700 right now, I think. Similarly, an ounce, I think, of silver somewhere around $25. So somebody comes to your door and says, I have gold and silver and I need, can I buy some stuff from you? And you say, I have no use for gold or silver. I can't eat it. I can't heat my house with it. I can't wipe my rear end with it. I can't drink it. You see? Notice the light came in and lit up the back, like I said. So, yeah, your cash is going to be worthless. So don't hoard cash. Don't hoard gold and silver. See, you're assuming that there's some future, uh, you know, republic that's going to rise from the ashes. The phoenix will rise from the ashes. When Rome fell, Rome fell. I say this all the time. When Greece fell, Greece fell. When the Mayans fell or conquered, destroyed, you know what I mean? The Trail of Tears of the indigenous people in America, when the Australian continent was, colonized, when Africa was colonized, right? And then just empires that rose and fall. Spain, the conquistadors conquered Central and South America, right? Plundered, took all their gold and all that stuff. Well, what's Spain now, right? It's no great power, right? Rome existed in Italy. Yeah, there's a city called Rome. There's no empire there. That country's got all kinds of financial problems, and social problems. Same with Greece. Remember? I mean, people have such a short memory. They basically destroyed the IMF, pretty much destroyed, and then the euro destroyed the Greek economy, right? I mean, Britain's out of control right now. What's going on there? I mean, no matter where you look, and the countries that are doing well, so to speak, the elite that are doing well, not the common person, the average person, places like China are basically run, have gulags, and the people are little more than slaves. And even in so-called former Western civilizations, the better part of people are what you call wage slaves. They live from paycheck to paycheck if they're lucky enough to have a job. And in the U.S., the free money is about to run out at the end of the summer. All these 20-some million people who are collecting unemployment right now. What are they going to do for a job? Income. Do they have any talents? They don't. There's an interesting thing going on. Excuse me. I hate this. It's very hard to talk for, early in the morning for over an hour and a half. Nonstop. But, I talked about Walmart yesterday where I was able to put in an order online and have someone just pull up and it was just thrown in their car. And what I didn't mention is in that particular area, because it wasn't in my area, because my Walmart is a little further away, so they don't offer it. But that Walmart up there offered even home delivery, free home delivery. You spend over $35 or something. It's just like Amazon. Or if you have a pet and you've ordered from something called Chewy, sometimes you get the stuff the next day. And it's like if you order $50 worth of crap, it's free delivery, FedEx free delivery, and you get like next day or delivery of this stuff. And what people don't understand, anyway, so this person was telling me that they went in the store early in the morning and it was mostly employees going around pushing these carts, filling orders like the order I made that I told you about in yesterday's video, where I ordered online and she pulled up, opened her back door, and they just put all these bags in. And I got all this stuff, including that 72 cents, Thunder Cola. In other words, the price is the price. Well, what people aren't aware of is this is an experiment, not so much an experiment, but a dry run that, like they have in Amazon places where they have all these robots that basically go through the factories and fulfill orders, right? Read barcodes, and, grab the item and put it in this thing and then and then just take it to the distribution, shipping area. So eventually what's happening is Walmart apparently is moving towards that. And so probably, in a short period of time, because things move so fast, they're putting these kiosks in fast food restaurants now. So they're eliminating people who were taking the orders. They're allowing people to order in advance online using apps. Everything's an app. And so these 20 some million people who are now sitting around playing video games, instead of buying stuff like this and watching my videos, instead they're watching some stupid, garbage, some nonsense, clickbait, right? YouTube millionaires, right? Watching their little ventures. Like I say, everybody's doing everything to enrich the wrong people. They're either enriching the organized crime syndicates, or they're enriching these opportunistic clickbaiter type of people. They're not doing anything with their money that they have now that's soon to be worthless. They're not doing anything that's going to have repercussions to make their life better in the long term. If I were somebody right now, and I was stuck in a city, I'd be planning my move out and figuring it's going to take 6 months or 8 months to do it. And I'd start now. I'd start buying those containers and start packing up my stuff. Take the first steps. That's what I've always done. Go online to these Zillow and real estate sites and find a place, or look for places in the outskirts of town, so you still are a part of something or close enough to get what you need, and but you're not isolated and alone. See, I don't go for this idea of living in a cabin in the woods and using a composting toilet. That's nonsense. That's foolhardiness. I mean, for certain people, they like that. I went out with a girl once who used to like to go camping. And my idea, so I did it with her a couple of times. But it's like, I don't want to go crapping in the woods. All right? That's not my thing. Yeah, nature's great. I'll go for a nature hike. I don't mind that. I spend a better part of my life in my backyard, which I'm trying to turn into a nature refuge, which is a miniature one, but I feed birds. I'm growing apple trees, growing food and other things to make it, this my own little world. But it's just a tiny yard. But I'm doing my best at it, and I could lay out there in the sun and soak up the vitamin D, and I'm happy. Listen to music, grow things, and have food. But that's what you should be doing. I mean, that's the things that people need to be doing, because this is coming at us, and it's coming at us like a freight train, and it's coming right at you. And nobody's paying attention to it. They think, oh, this is just nothing, It's another election. There'll be an election next year. Yeah, there'll probably be an election next year, but it's not going to be any different than the last election. There are no the outcomes don't matter. And even the players don't matter because they're just all puppets anyway. You can't change a system that a bureaucracy, a corporatocracy, an organized crime syndicate that is so powerful and now has the control of technology. You know, some people actually call it a technocracy that we have, that governance is a technocracy. It doesn't matter what you call it. You know, I call it the corporatocracy and an organized crime syndicate. Other people call it a technocracy. You know, but whatever it is what it is. You know, that's the reality, and that's where this world is moving, and that's what the Great Reset is, and blah blah blah. It's authoritarianism, it's totalitarianism, and ultimately it will be a police state because the people who aren't heeding my words and don't have no preparation whatsoever to live are suddenly going to the 20, maybe 40 million people, maybe 50 million people in the US unemployed in the next 18 months, 6 months to 18 months, are just going to freak the fuck out, basically. You know? They'll be lost. And they might have families and kids and stuff. So those people are desperate, and they'll be desperate. How am I going to feed my family, protect my family? You know, and these people think, oh, well, you know, and they have no clue. You know, I mean, people have been talking about, you know, people living from paycheck to paycheck for decades now. And it's been a reality, you know, wage slavery. Basically is what it is. You know, people just work wage slave, and they're lucky if they get to go out on a Saturday night. Now you can't even really go out. People are afraid to embrace, kiss, you know, can't have public events. You know, I don't care if they say, oh, we're opening up the states. They're not really opening them up. Opening up means people sitting next to each other, you know, elbow to elbow on a bar stool. I mean, people dancing at a wedding, people going to a funeral. Florida's supposedly open, and my mother said in the place where she's living, it's like a long-term care facility. It's not a nursing home. It's like she has her own apartment, but it's like a facility where there's shared dining area, and they have people that come in and clean their apartments for them and stuff like that. But she says that place is in lockdown, even though the news says Florida's like open. So it's a lie. You can't visit her. So you can't believe anything you hear, you know. Everything you know is wrong, and what you don't know, you don't know. This whole idea of the eyes without a face thing isn't going away. Social distancing, you know, they're saying people that get the thing are still, you know, now they're talking about this. I mean, everything, it's a different story. Every week they change the story, add something to it. It's pretty crazy. But it's not a laughing matter. So yeah, it's like, think about that. If you have any, you know, if you're working, you know, you need to take an assessment of your life. And I say do that on paper. Just get a sheet of paper, regular letter size sheet of paper, draw a line down the middle, and take inventory of your life, assess your life, your likes, your dislikes, the pros and cons of where you are, what you're doing, and all that stuff, and what your goals are, where you want to be 5 years from now, and think about it. And maybe take another sheet. I've always done that in my books. I've even included these things in for people, because I've been trying to help people. That's all I'm doing. Like, a monthly budget. Do you have one of those where you see where you have every possible thing that you're paying and you really see what your costs are? Not just living your life like saying, well, I balance my checkbook, but really see what it is and project, what it costs to live. You have to think like that. These are those times that you have to do that. It's a matter of life and death at this point, survival. And this money thing, they're messing with money, man. The central banks are like playing with blockchain stuff. That means they want total digital currency within probably the next, I would say, 18 months at the outset. And once that happens, see, the Fed already the Federal Reserve, which is a private organization. It's a consortium of banks in the U.S. It's not the government. Some people think it is, but it's not. The Federal Reserve System, when you use your ATM card and all that kind of stuff, that all gets processed through the Federal Reserve System. All right. So they already have the control, the flow of so-called money, right? Well, once everything is completely digital and everything's moving to the cloud. You see that software, everything's a cloud service. They want everything to be a monthly fee. It's like they say, you will own nothing and you will be happy. Their idea is to basically you're going to rent everything. It was interesting. I mean, I have this tiny house and I pay next to nothing. Like I say, my mortgage, taxes, and insurance are only $200 a month, less than it. And I had my bank call me like last week or something like that and ask me if I wanted a second mortgage on my house. My house isn't even worth anything that much. But I mean, they're all they want to have everybody in debt. That's why I say they're even pushing credit cards and stuff. But the idea is that they want to control your life and be able to say, okay, well, we own you and you are now under our thumb. And so you have to limit your exposure to this corporatocracy, to the organized crime syndicate. And that's how you can live free and eat, drink, and be merry. That's the idea. See, it's not enough to survive. Like I say, you got to thrive. That means being happy. Happiness, right? Life is about being happy. So I'm not a doomsayer here. I'm not saying, it's doable. And I'm telling you this because it's my way of my service to others. It's hard for some people to understand that. Well, why are you doing this? You're just trying to sell your music and you're trying to sell this. It's like, nobody's buying anything from me. Come on, man. And even if you did, I make $1 on something or 50-cent commission, it's not going to make difference in my life. I mean, yeah, I'll buy a 2-liter bottle of Dr. Thunder's Diet Cola. Thanks. Appreciate it. That's not my motivation. I am happy. I'm unhappy with the weather right now, but hopefully that will change in another week. I thought it was going to change this week. Okay, so, but those are minor things. That's not depression, I've got beer in the refrigerator. I'm going to take a walk after this. Actually, I have some cigars. I don't want to over smoke. So I've got a couple of cigars. I think this afternoon I'm just going to have a couple of cigars and a couple of beers. I'll go out, double check my garden before it starts to rain, make sure everything's covered so it's not going to get frost, bitten or something. And I'm just going to plow through because that's it. It's day by day, you know. You gotta take an effort. You can't be overwhelmed. You can't wait either. You can't say, well, I'll wait and see. Look, let's say that let's say that, you know, some magical thing in the world is going to turn into a fairy tale. Okay. Well, the fact that I moved here and cut my expenses down to where my taxes, mortgage, and insurance are only $200, less than $200. No, you can't even, there's nobody out there that even has a rent that low. And I have a house, a detached house with a garden and a yard. It's actually a detached garage at the end of my thing, which is like my kind of workshop, hangout area too, with outdoor speakers, right? And I get in a lounge chair and I could lay there, listen to music and hang out in the sun and stuff. I could walk to, you know, places and stuff, do things I want. So no matter, you know, for better or worse, no matter what happens, the idea of simplifying your life, of limiting your exposure to this crazy, you know, hyperinflation, you know, manipulative, controlled world is still a good idea, right? You know, whether this becomes a totalitarian police state or whether, you know, some magical thing happens, and I don't know. Okay. I mean, there's no way that's going to happen in my mind. But if it did, you'd still be better off by simplifying your life. But when I say simplify, I don't mean limiting your happiness, you know, the good life. So that's the key. You got to eat, drink, and be merry. Right? That should be your goal, the pursuit of happiness. And whether you're an individual or whether you have a family or you're in a relationship, that should be your goal. You know, don't reduce your, you know, your quality of life. I mean, look at this set. I mean, this is like kind of a funky thing, isn't it? You know, and you could see my world. I happen to be a creative guy. I write these books. There's my Codex book. There's my CD. You know, here's these great solar stuff things. You know, it's kind of fun. You know, it's a thing I'm doing. I don't know if I'll be doing this how much longer. You know, I'm coming up, I think within the next, I think I'm only about 12 or 14 shows away from like 100 consecutive live broadcasts. Means I've done this every day for like 2 hours, mostly. Every day for like, I'm coming up on the 100th show. So who knows? Maybe on the 100th show might be my last live show. Then I might just do occasionally something else. So if you've missed some of these things, go check them back. Some of these things are good. You know, they're not all great, you know, but like each one has like, you know, like a little nugget of something. There's something in there that's, you know, that you got to take to heart. So as I always say, good morning. And we've been doing this lately.
Elvis has left the building.
Yeah.
Thank you
So,
and good night.
Cheers. Take care. Peace.